Hello, everyone. Welcome to GridMatrix's webinar on Safe Streets for All, the new grant program that released for fiscal year 2025. The original recording of this webinar uh, just simply went missing. It didn't record to my Zoom, so I'm making another one. It's going to cover all of the same information I did in the first one. So without ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So I've opened up the USDOT's Safe Streets for All webpage. This will have all of the resources that I use to prepare this webinar, but it will also include a bunch of different resources which can definitely help any sort of organization or eligible party that can apply to this grant. Uh, so for a brief roadmap, I'm going to be overviewing the Safe Streets for All opportunity, what it is, how much it's worth, application deadlines and stuff like that. Then I'm going to go into how to apply for the different grants. The first one being the planning and demonstration grant, and the second one being the implementation grant as well. What makes one eligible, what forms you have to fill out, and how do the narratives look within that in the application. And then after that, I'm going to talk about the criteria that decision makers are going to be looking at for each grant in specific. After that, I'll go over GridMatrix's impact on an SS4A grant in Orlando, Florida, and I'll wrap up there. If you have any more information, please reach out to our website at www.gridmatrix.com. There's a contact us part of the page, and we check that periodically just in case anybody has questions about our product or information that we have put out. So without further ado, the Safe Streets for All opportunity is a grant program that has $1 billion in funding is being distributed over fiscal year 2025. The application deadline is June 26th, so there's roughly, at the time of recording, there's roughly 2 months left for an application to be written and submitted. I suggest that you get on that as early as possible, and I'll help guide you there. You can find information on this Safe Streets for All SS4A grant page. The funding opportunities, the notice of funding opportunity was put out in late March, March 28th, and it disclosed different award ceilings for each specific type of grant. And with that, it also shared that there's also a cost sharing aspect to the grants. So to begin, for planning and demonstration grants, which is sort of the first sort of grant that you're supposed to apply for in an SS4A grant opportunity, they're expecting to give out 400 to 700 awards for this notice of funding opportunity. And the range that you can actually receive for an SS4A grant for planning and demonstration is from $100,000 to $5 million. So a pretty penny of money to develop an action plan, do demonstrations, or have supplemental funding for implementation slash action plan updates. For implementation, that range grows. The range shrinks for the number of expected awards and grows for the total amount of funding. So they expect 40 to 70 expected awards, so 10 times less. But the range of grants given out ranges from 2.5 million on the low end to $25 million on the high end. Overall, 40% of the funding for fiscal year 2025 is for planning and demonstration. And that means that 60% of it is for implementation grants for places that already have an action plan in place or have supplemental funding and stuff like that. There was an original release that said that funding for planning and demonstration could go up to 10 million. That has been revised back to 5 million, and I'm confirming that for anyone that watch this video. And I encourage you to reevaluate your plans if you were expecting the upper number to be $10 million. As for cost sharing, which is a very important part of this as well, no SS4A grant can exceed 80% of the total project costs. So if you have a $100,000 SS4A grant, your organization or municipality or eligible party would have to put up $25,000 of their own money to make the total expenditure from SS4A's grant 80% of the total project cost. There are exceptions to this, mainly for tribal governments, the territories like the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, as well as the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. I highly suggest if you're from those areas to go to the US DOT website and find out information on your specific municipality, state, territory, those sorts of things. And before I get into the actual application portion, I'm going to turn back to this website. There's all these different resources here. It tells you what the eligibility is. If you follow one of these, definitely make sure you're one of these and qualify. You can find out more about eligible applicants here, the different types of grants, and even the short video here that's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I believe, gives you a brief overview of what it's about. And there's also a very helpful webinar series page where you can actually go and look at the action plans, implementation, all the other webinars, and they go more in depth than I will here. Highly recommend you go and watch these and do your due diligence. As far as applying to SS4A, they actually have a page for this as well, even more materials for you to review, but definitely helpful in the grand scheme of things. The detailed information is in the notice of funding opportunity, which I highly recommend you read. And it basically goes like this. You learn about SS4A, you read the application, and then you select which grant applies to you. So either planning and demonstration or the implementation, and then you fill out the standard forms and continue the application there. So you need to be registered with sam.gov and have a unique entity identifier regardless to even apply. And that will give you over the starting line. So let's go ahead and talk about applying for these specific types of grants. So first, the planning and demonstration grant. This one is the one that most places should be applying to. It's the one with the least sort of barriers to entry. This is so you can develop an action plan. If you have never received Safe Streets for All funding before, this is where you actually sort of get your foot in the door, develop an action plan, and understand really what you can actually accomplish with SS4A funding. So some brief things you have to understand. It must be about roadway safety, your application. This isn't for dockside. This isn't for, air transport. This is for roadway safety. If you're a port, focus on the roadside applications. If you're an airport, focus on roadside applications on your campus. It's not a general transportation grant. It is fully on the roadside. And it must be in a well-identified area of study or in need of immense change. So places where there could be higher fatalities or near miss rates, or places that are underserved communities, such as rural areas that usually do not have access to these sorts of funds. You need to keep those two identifications of mind of like having an area to study and also considering underserved communities. Those will help you out in your application later. One final thing before I get into specifics about planning and demonstration. No more than 15% of the entire grant will go to one state. So this will distribute the grant across the United States. Everyone's going to have a shot to win. Highly encourage that you apply for the good of your own community. And you don't have to worry about places like California or Texas, these large states with a lot of different infrastructure, taking all of the SS4A grant money. So yeah, let's start with the planning and demonstration grant. There are 3 different eligible activities under planning and demonstration. The first one is the most important. It's the development of an action plan. The second one is to conduct supplemental safety planning to enhance an already existing action plan. And the third one is to carry out demonstration activities to inform the development or update to an action plan. So really, this all starts with an action plan. This is the one thing that you have to have for SS4A. It will help you develop it, or you need it in order to apply to other types of funding, such as the implementation grant. So what an action plan essentially is basically you go in, do due diligence, research, collect data on the area of interest that you actually want to make changes to, and then you have an action plan developed from that to enhance the safety of that particular area. So in order to apply for this, you need to be registered with sam.gov and have a unique entity identifier, pretty standard for grant applications. You have to submit bids here at this valid eval link. This will be here on the how to apply. You should be able to find those within this page here. Register for you on valid eval to apply. You can also do it for the implementation grants. Definitely use this website. It's the best resource you're going to have. And then from there, once you're on here and you're registered, you have forms to fill out. You have these SF forms here. They're pretty straightforward. The four forms are application for federal assistance, budget information on non-construction programs, assurances for non-construction programs, and disclosure of lobbying activities. So pretty standard, just, making sure there's no sort of fraud or sort of illegitimate activity going on. Very easy to do. Highly recommend, like, just go through them and do them. It will make your life easier at the end of the day. After that, there's two more forms that you need to have. This planning and demonstration budget is just a part of the actual application, and I'll get to the self-certification eligibility worksheet in a minute. But in your application, there are two things that you need to focus on before you get to sort of this budget and eligibility worksheet. You need to answer some key questions, and there's a lot of them. But the ones that are some ones that are important are your lead applicant info. So who's your main contact within your organization, or you have the ability to work with other organizations that have a similar area of interest that you do, and you're able to apply together. You need to identify which of those organizations is going to be the point of contact and the mediator between the SS4A grant distributors and your core coalition of applicants. Be very specific about that, give them the information that they need, and don't leave anything up to chance. The other couple of things, items such as total average annual fatality rate could help your chances. So if you have a high annual fatality rate in your area of interest, that will definitely get priority in delegation of grants for SS4A, as well as project goal and project needs and stuff like that. Information that will help contextualize your application. And speaking of context, the narrative section for planning and demonstration, you have 2 to 3 pages, depending on the amount of funding you have or the amount of funding you're requesting. If you're requesting $1 million or less, you'll have 2 pages. Over $1 million, you'll have 3 pages. But within this narrative, you contextualize your application and really make it clear as to how an SS4A grant, action plan, supplemental funding, demonstration funding, how that funding will impact your community and what you hope to achieve through that. The last thing you're going to need before self-certification and the budget is you'll need a map of the area. You actually have to show the area of interest you want, and providing that map very much enlightens the delegation, the committee that will delegate SS4A funding is a requirement, and I highly suggest that you pin down exactly where you want to delegate this money within your organization, within your jurisdiction. So the other two things that are left, the budget's pretty straightforward. I will pull that up in just one moment. I believe I can pull it up here. Okay. Sorry. There's a lot here, but here's the first budget down here. Gotta love technology. So here's the first budget, highly itemized for planning and grant demonstration. So it talks about the updated or new action plan, the items of costs. This is for supplemental planning. This is for demonstration. And it's going to be much the same for implementation, except it will be specialized towards implementation funding, as you can see here. We will go over that in just a minute, but be sure to go through each section of the planning and demonstration grants and make sure that you are allocating money in the way you want to, while also being as specific as possible and coming up with a reasonable estimate of how much you're actually asking for. Otherwise, this self-certification and eligibility worksheet is required for planning and demonstration grants that conduct supplemental planning or demonstration activities. So if you're just applying for to develop an action plan, you don't need to do this. But if you already have an action plan and would like to receive more funding for demonstration or supplemental planning, you need to fill out the self-certification worksheet. You should have the information to do so once you actually have an action plan in place or are currently working on one. And that's it for the application to the planning and demonstration grant. Again, there's more information on this website as well as the how to apply website here. Uh, and yeah, for the implementation grant, it's much the same things. The standard forms are very, very similar. Just make sure you go through and read them carefully, just in case they do ask for something different. I believe they're all the same forms. And the self-certification eligibility worksheet is the exact same. It's going to ask for supplemental funding and more. Uh, you have to do this one for the implementation grants, very strongly built on you already receiving SS4A funding. You can't just have an implementation grant without an action plan. You need an action plan to get an implementation plan. But other than that, after your completion of your action plan and you're turning to implementation, you should have the idea of the amount of funding you want. You need to have an idea about that so you can actually produce the budget that you're going to use, as well as include it in your application at large. The key information questions, still relatively similar. You need a point of contact. You need to know who your team is, those sorts of things. But when you get to the narrative is substantially larger. You have 12 pages to actually contextualize your needs as well as what you plan to do and the impacts you hope to have. You have 12 pages to do that. You also have 2 extra pages if you're applying for supplemental or demonstration funding, just in case you want to update your action plan or, test your application plan or do a pilot and sort of prove that you're going in the right direction, and then edit your action plan accordingly to then use the demonstration grant. Other than that, you still need the map, and of course, you need the budget. But that's pretty much the only difference between the applications. You need an action plan for an implementation grant. It will make your application easier, but it also will actually make you eligible for the implementation grants overall. So now that you're eligible and have gotten there, we'll talk about the selection criterion. So they're separate across the planning and demonstration and the implementation grants. For planning and demonstration, they grade off of 4 key verticals. So the first one is safety implementation. This is how you believe a safety action plan will actually help reduce fatalities and serious injuries to roadway users like pedestrians and cyclists and, public transportation travelers, those sorts of things. You have to be able to make the case as to how your safety action plan is going to help it. It is one of the things that they look at very heavily. But they look at that also with things like underserved communities. That's the second vertical. If you're able to identify a community of key need by name, calling out rural populations within the notice of funding opportunity, just areas where they usually do not have access to this sort of capital to make their streets safer, that will also be a benefit to your application and make you more likely to receive the grant funding that you are asking for. The last 2 verticals are additional information. The first one is additional safety context. This is essentially dealing with the information that you put into your narrative, what is very specific about your particular area of interest, why you need to implement the Safe Streets for All money, to develop this action plan, ultimately make your community safer. If you're capable of producing that information and being as specific as possible in how the context of your area is a separator from other places, that will be a boon to your application as well. The final is additional considerations. This is things like budget costs, like if they think that if you're asking for too much money for too little payoff or the other way around, that will count against you. So come up with reasonable estimates. If you have higher fatality rates, if your city faces more fatalities in a year per capita than other places, they definitely will have you higher on their priority list because their goal is to make American streets safer overall. And high fatality rates are a great indicator that they are not perfectly safe. And the last thing they look at is if you've had prior SS4A funding. So if you have already developed an action plan, they will look at if you've actually received SS4A funding in the past and determine if places they will ultimately side on the they will ultimately help people who have not had SS4A funding first. They will help people that have not had access to this opportunity originally. Uh, and yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to look at for the planning and implementation side. Very straightforward. The criteria is, pretty intuitive in my understanding, and you just have to be careful with what you put into your application. But should be fairly simple and easy as far as that's concerned. Next, for the implementation grant, it is different. The verticals that they grade across, there are five of them, one of them being optional. The first one is safety need, obviously a necessity. Really, in your narrative and your application, you have to show how important it is to actually get this implementation funding and how you're in what the problems actually are. So you should have done this preliminary research with your development of the action plan, your development of the demonstrations if you've done that already. This will be one of the first building blocks of the criterion they look for. The next one is the safety impact. So how are you actually going to make changes to make the streets safer? This can be done either through a proof of concept in a demonstration, or your safety action plan can make reasonable assumptions in the data it's already collected and how it's going to change things at large in the area of interest. The next criterion is the engagement and collaboration. So this has more to do with your working with organizations and jurisdictions that overlap with yours or have a similar area of interest, as well as the community on the ground. They want this to build safe streets for all and not just your individual organization. They want to know how you're actually going to impact the community and other organizations involved that have a stake in the betterment of this particular area. So be prepared to include that within your application and focus on it, particularly underserved communities, and really prove how you're actually going to make safe streets for all in your community. The next vertical is supplemental planning and demonstration activities. This is completely optional, as I mentioned earlier in the narrative stage of the implementation grant funding. You are capable of applying for more supplemental funding or demonstration activities to sort of be either an update to your action plan if you think it's sort of faulty, or it can be a proof of concept and demonstrating the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of what you've developed in your action plan and adjusting accordingly. Please look for more information as to how to do those specifically on the websites with the US DOT, but it should be relatively straightforward from both the planning and demonstration activity side of things. And the final consideration or the final criteria that they look at is called additional considerations. That really is just your project readiness. It's one of the things they harp upon. How ready are you to go once you actually have the grant? What steps you're going to take, what actions are you going to take? Those sorts of things really are a benefit to the application and show that you're going to actually be able to use the grant fully once they delegate it to you. Be very specific on what you're going to do and show how your action plan has really set you up for success in the future. And that is pretty much it for the application. I suggest you go look more at the resources that are on the US DOT's website. Simple Google search just to look up the Safe Streets for All here, transportation.gov/grant/SS4A. Very easy to find, and there's a wealth of information there that will be highly beneficial to your jurisdiction. Uh, One final thing of note before I get into how GridMatrix actually has dealt with SS4A and been a huge benefit to a place in Orlando, Florida. I want to make clear that you can apply for supplemental funding if a higher jurisdiction, so in this case, think a county has an SS4A action plan and they have a grant. If you are actually within that jurisdiction and within the area of interest, you can, if you're a lower jurisdiction and within the area of interest for the higher jurisdiction, you can apply for supplemental funding as long as it's in keeping with the action plan that the county has actually put out there. So cities, be looking out for if your county has something, and transportation authorities, if your city has an SS4A funding, get in contact with them and see what you can do. All right. Let me quickly switch to our Orlando deployment. So GridMatrix has actually been a big help to Orlando, Florida, and Metro Plan Orlando by helping out with their, let's see, am I switching? Yeah, you should be able to see this. Yeah, you can see this. So GridMatrix has actually been a huge help to the SS4A grant that Metro Plan Orlando has been using. We've partnered with them to deploy at several different cameras throughout the area of their jurisdiction. And through those cameras, we collected and analyzed an immense amount of data to identify the most dangerous intersections, the intersections of interest, and effectively served as a way to test how different responses like signal timing changes work with the data in showing how those changes could affect the safety of those intersections. So when we deployed in, we actually had the local Fox channel go in and do a piece on us. Let me play that real quick. And see here. I'll let y'all see this. Hopefully this ad. Well, I'll just continue talking for a second. So we actually had the local Fox channel pick us up. This was out without any prompting from us. We believe that, Metro Plan Orlando has really gotten a good use out of our product. We haven't had to produce any new hardware. We just had to use the existing software that they had, and we're able to produce an immense amount of statistics that actually benefited and became actionable within their purview.
It's dangerous in the entire country. Well, now artificial intelligence is being used to help solve that problem.
The goal here is to pinpoint any changes that might need to be made to make the roads safer. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay explains how this new technology works.
Reduce fatalities and then it'll take you to a dashboard of all the statistics from that site. It can determine the vehicle speed. It can determine any near misses.
The AI flags the near misses and other issues that aren't typically seen without an actual crash and compiles them.
This sort of software basically allows us to have sort of eyes on the road 24 hours a day.
Laura Balk with Metro Plan Orlando says the data is used to make any necessary changes.
Things like lowering a speed limit or putting up additional signage, and maybe things like changing the timing at traffic signals to improve congestion.
She tells me it's just the start of what could be a major shift for driver safety.
We're sort of in the testing phase, not just Metro Plan, but others throughout the nation are testing this out.
Reporting in Seminole County, Chris Lindsay, Fox 35 News.
One thing I noticed is that when Chuck.
So yeah, we were included on that wonderful piece, and we've been able to really back it up. I believe that we've made a huge benefit through an SS4A grant, as you can see here. So that's I don't want to do that. So what we did when we deployed in October of 2024, we were able to find a bunch of different statistics that showed the most dangerous areas, such as near miss rate, speed going through intersections, and really things that help indicate where the most dangerous areas are within their jurisdiction. And then we were able to track what happened after changes were made. So in February, Seminole County implemented signal timing changes throughout numerous dangerous intersections, and we were able to track those changes over time. And after the month of March, we were able to figure out that a lot of these high near miss areas actually found a massive change in safety. Like the highest that we actually saw was a 70% change in the near miss counts, a decrease in 70% of adjusted near misses between the area of study. And for places with over 100 near misses, like the lowest number we came up was 12%. And for these massive near miss intersections, that'll be 100 people or more than that will no longer be close to near misses. And as we all know, near misses correlate heavily with traffic incidents, which could lead to fatalities or serious injuries. And this is only possible with SS4A funding. It's one of the things that allows places like Orlando and all these other different municipalities and in transit organizations to really put efforts into action to make their streets and jurisdictions safer. I highly recommend that you utilize SS4A funding and look out for your own communities like this. If you have any more questions, definitely go to the USDOT website. You can also email me at my email, jack@gridmatrix.com. And I will be happy to help you find any more information and help you learn more about how SS4A can help you. Please visit our website, www.gridmatrix.com. You can contact us there as well, and you can see how we are helping to make American infrastructure the best in the world. And I hope you have a very pleasant day. Best of luck, and go make your street safer.